when we say this word, she really, first time when I met, she really is strong in the true sense. Asma is extremely passionate about working with marginalized communities. She's also been on Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee at regional and provincial level. She holds bachelor's in pharmacy from Pakistan, master's from US in pharmacy and administrative sciences. And in Canada, she studied addiction and community services. And she is working in this sector for over a decade. So please join me in welcoming Asma Khan on the stage. Please take your seat, Asma. Our next panelist is a special person like Asma, and for me, very special because I got inspired when I moved to Canada. He did not know that, but that inspiration made me to change my career. So I used to be in information technology field. Canada gave me one chance, and I wanted to take that chance. Guess who was my role model that I want to be like? So that person is a CEO of Punjabi Community Health Services, and I'm pretty sure you know what Punjabi Community Health Services is. PCHS is a health service provider in central region of Ontario, and Baldev is very passionate about helping the community and developing youth activities to take on fight against injustice and health inequality. He is also a recipient of Queen's Diamond Jubilee Award and Premier's Award for Community Services. And there is an interesting fact about Baldev ji. If you Google his name, his recent video with our last panelist is very interesting. If you want to know more about Baldev ji, I will invite you to Google Baldev Mutta plus Dr. Suhail Khan latest interview. You will love it because I came to know many things about Baldev ji that he also may remember German language. This is very interesting. So please invite me, join me that I'm inviting Baldev ji on the stage. Baldev ji, please, next to us, yeah, this much of Hindi Punjabi mix is okay. Isliye, that is why my words are also mixing. I better stick to English so that I don't mix anything.
Thank you.
And our next panelist is somebody who is an engineer by profession. Chitra Lekha ji is president and co-owner of Peel College of Professional Studies. Chitra Lekha ji was awarded Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II Platinum Jubilee Award as a recognition for her contribution to the public service and dedication to bettering the community. And a fact which many of us don't know, the fact is that she has worked with street children on UNICEF project. One of these projects was aimed to get street children and child labor off the street and into the school by explaining the importance of education. And of course, that's why you manage this college, that this is your passion also. So please join me in welcoming Chitra Lekha ji also. Chitra Lekha ji are next to Baldev ji. There is another connectivity with Chitra Lekha ji. When I was a newcomer to Canada, I also visited her office when you look for jobs. So I remember her from those days. So I'm very glad that she's also here. Mike ji, Asma, आप पूरा just please make sure कि आप comfortable हो. Our last guest on the panel is somebody whom I met first time today in person. Though I admire his work, I secretly watch when he speaks at Modern Women Council session through Facebook. And I said, ये हसीन बंदा कौन है यार? Stylish है, हसीन है, but I want to tell you something more about those who wanted to know, who wants to know who is this person. Dr. Khalid Suhail is the founder of Green Zone Philosophy, a poet and author of more than 70 books. ये कहीं Guinness Book of World Record बनाने का वो तो नहीं चल रहा है, maybe. Interesting fact is, he got a TikTok which reached more than 83,000 people. I want to learn from you that how you do that. For the past 40 years, he's working as a psychotherapist in the Creative Psychotherapy Clinic in Whitby. And in the last few decades, Dr. Suhail has been presenting green zone workshops, which I am also part of it online, seminars, lectures all over the world, and green zone philosophy is another gift for the humanity. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Sahil, Dr. Khalid Suhail. Coming from the same culture, sometimes I'm hesitant to say first name से बुलाऊं, last name से बुलाऊं, G ऐड करूं, और शीन कहाँ गई? और शीन से मैंने टिप ले लिया कि G will be added. So if I miss G, please forgive me. So we will directly dive into what we are here to discuss. So my first question, Asma ji, to you is, how do you see men play their role in preventing violence against women, and what kind of awareness and support they need?
Hello everybody, Assalamu alaikum, namaskar, sat shri akal, that's all I know. Assalamu alaikum, wanakam, okay, yes, I know. And that's the disadvantage क्योंकि मेरा नाम A से शुरू होता तो सबसे पहले मेरी बारी आ जाती है. So I wrote my response last night, and trust me guys, it's coming from the bottom of my heart. So I want to say we cannot deny the importance of role of men in preventing violence against women. But have we involved men the way we should have done? No. In the past 2 decades, we have been focusing so much on educating women, which is great and has supported so many of us. But the result we see is rising domestic violence, relationship breakups, high divorce rates, negative impact on kids' mental health, and high cost for the government in terms of providing housing, social assistance to the survivors. So why has the situation gotten worse with so much awareness and available resources and support? The answer is, like I said, we missed to include men the way we should have done. इतनी सारी resources, इतनी help available होने के बावजूद बढ़ क्यों गया domestic violence? I feel men should be allowed to express emotions like pain and grief. आदमियों को भी मौका देना चाहिए कि वो अपने दर्द का इज़हार करें. अगर वो शोक में तो उसका इज़हार कर सकें. Men should be allowed tears. हम आदमियों को रोने नहीं देते, तो वो भी इंसान होते हैं, उनको भी आंसू आते हैं. They should be allowed to do that. We need to be mindful of the fact that if someone is not allowed to express emotions, it will be extremely challenging for them to deal with it in their relationships, as this will be foreign to them. अगर किसी को आंसू आप बहाने नहीं देंगे तो उनको पता कैसे चलेगा कि आंसू क्या होता है. So in most of the cases, the only way they try to manage this is through anger and control that never works. उनको वही आता है और वो कभी काम नहीं करता. The result is broken families, heavily impacted children, financial burden on families and the government as well. In a South Asian home, when we raise boys, जब हम लड़कों को परवान चढ़ा रहे होते हैं, they should be made aware of certain facts. Number one, their power or physical strength is meant for protecting females, not abuse or try to control them. This does not apply only to their intimate partners, but their mothers, sisters, daughters, and every other woman on the street out there. ये सिर्फ intimate partners के लिए नहीं है. हम देखते हैं कहीं माएँ भी abuse हो रही हैं, कहीं बहनें भी, कहीं बेटियाँ भी. They should not consider themselves as the kings of the castle. They are part of the team in a home. Respect has to be equal for males as well as females in homes and on the streets. You cannot and absolutely cannot ridicule any women out there. आप किसी भी औरत का मजाक नहीं उड़ा सकते. You cannot claim to love a woman while continuing to abuse her. Respect comes first and love follows. No one has the right to oppress the other, whether it's verbal abuse, belittling your females, physical hitting or any other forms of abuse. अब थोड़ा सा एक्शन प्लान कर जाते हैं, क्या सपोर्ट्स चाहिए हमारे आदमियों को. I feel there should be educational sessions as well as support groups for men to share their childhood trauma or any abuse if and that they went through. बहुत सारी चीजें फैमिली ऑफ ओरिजिन से आ रही होती हैं और हम उसके इज़हार का मौका नहीं देते आदमी को. Grief support groups that would help them heal, क्योंकि याद रखिए grief या शोक जो है वो एक healing journey होती है. Education for men on women's health issues. Yes, you heard me right. आदमियों को हमें एजुकेट करना है ऑन वुमेन्स हेल्थ इश्यूज. एक औरत के हेल्थ इश्यूज क्या होते हैं, इसकी हमारे आदमियों को समझने की जरूरत है. एंगर मैनेजमेंट ग्रुप्स, एडिक्शन एंड मेंटल हेल्थ सपोर्ट ग्रुप्स, प्री-मैरिटल काउंसलिंग, क्रिएटिंग अवेयरनेस ऑन हेल्दी रिलेशनशिप्स, एस्टैब्लिशिंग बाउंड्रीज इन अ रिलेशनशिप, love and respect, teamwork, managing anger, which is a big one, parenting, balancing between your partner and your family of origin. ये भी साउथ एशियन कल्चर में बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है. अपने पार्टनर और अपनी फैमिली के बीच में तवाज़ुन या बैलेंस कैसे कायम रखना है. Focus groups to do a needs assessment for men. What is their understanding and expectations in a relationship, especially with their intimate partners, and are all these expectations realistic? अपने साथी से क्या एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं आप? इतना ज़्यादा तो नहीं कि वो कर ना सकें. Focus groups including both men and women to learn ways to support each other and their children. I also feel that men should be invited and given a chance to speak on these issues on forums like today. Media can also play a very strong role in this, bringing more educational programs and talk shows on air involving both women and men. I can tell you hundreds of stories from my experience in the field, where couples went took positive steps for their families, made changes in their behaviors, implemented healthy boundaries in homes, were able to prevent domestic violence and keep their families together in a happy home. I would conclude my response with a request to all the men out there, and I am not saying good men, I am saying all men because I believe there is goodness in every human being. Please come out and play your role in this. Trust me, we can do this with teamwork. We need to remember that we all have to live on this planet together. Women or men cannot be transported to any other planet, so please accept each other, respect each other, give each other space. Remember, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I will ask our rest of the panelists, starting from Dev ji, if you want to add, please take 1 or 2 minutes, and then we will move to Chitralekha ji and Dr. Syed. Please go ahead, sir.
I would just like to add one of the things is that the Indo-Indian subcontinent is a tradition-oriented civilization. So we follow established traditions that are close to 10,000 years old. And we continue to follow them without questioning. So we don't have the ability to dismantle any of the cultural norms or traditions. If you look at the Indian subcontinent, we know for a fact that we have attached honor to women. Anything that a woman does, we as men tend to equate that with the honor of the entire family. Unless we can question the dominant narratives on why we are doing this, why is our culture so important, especially those that put down women, I don't think there will be equality for women. I think that we need to have these difficult discussions as to why do we have traditions? What purpose do they serve? What are these stories about our traditions that talk about dowry, that talks about preference of boys over girls? Like, unless you can dismantle that at a ground level, I think that we will not be able to create equality. The most difficult aspect of this entire equation is that the religions are dominated by men, and they are creating an equilibrium whereby the dominant narrative espoused by men on the interpretations of sacred scriptures are in their favor. So you guys are on a losing footing to begin with. So cultures are not dominated by women, religions are not dominated by women, the discourses are not dominated by women, so things will not change. So you can have all the celebration, you can have all the education and awareness that you can have. Nothing will change until as a society we can understand how do you dismantle oppressive structures. And unless we can learn to do this, things will not change. Racism will not change. Violence against indigenous people in Canada will not change. Violence against the black community will not change. So if you want to look at these issues, the essence of the entire thing is, are we as a civilization, Indian civilization or Indo-Canadian civilization or Indian subcontinent civilization, willing to dismantle our traditions? If we cannot, I don't think there will be equality. That's what I wanted to have some discussion today.
Well said, well said. Very thought-provoking, very thought-provoking. Chitralekha ji, your thoughts.
Definitely. Thank you and good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? Thank you. Yes, I would like to say a few things. Yes, what my friend mentioned about women's body is really a very complicated. And I always say that men has to understand. Men doesn't mean only a husband, but even son, even a brother. He has to understand what changes a woman goes through in her life. Because when she takes a birth, at the age of certain age, puberty, she changes her body. When she becomes a mother, her body is changed. When she is at the age of maturity, her again hormonal changes. So there are a lot of changes. And because of these changes, her behavior at times is changed. So people around her, people around nearby her has to understand that what is she passing through. She is equally partner in your life. So definitely I would like to say that the changes, community in such that we all have to respect. I know everybody is respecting women, but you need to understand this complex human body because she passes through a different phases in life and support her because she is a creator. She is giving birth to a child. She is an architect of family. She is an architect of community. She is an architect of nation. So she has been creating. If she is strong, definitely the nation is going to be very strong. So we need to support her. Now for the discrimination about the men and women and everything, I would like to say that we are celebrating here International Women's Day, which is, I'm really very happy. But still it is in mind, particularly in some part of world, that if a girl is born, people are not happy. No, they don't show it on the face, but at one point of time, somewhere in the middle of your heart, they feel that, oh, girl is born. I might have to get some dowry, or I might have to take care of her. And there are different, society has different thought process. But we need to fight with this. We need to cross this situation in life that, hey, just because she has few organs different, she is treated differently, give her education. Make her emotionally and financially strong so that these issues are not there. So, again, coming back to point, be strong, all my friends, and all my male friends, I will tell them that help your sister, mother, wife, everybody female around you to stand emotionally and financially independent. And that is asset to society, that is asset to nation.
Thank you, Chokle. Thank you very much. Dr. Khalid Sahil.
Thank you. I think being a psychotherapist, I have more sort of investment in the personal relationships alongside the social, political, economic, other conditions. So I'm going to share with you two stories, two role models that I felt, one in my personal life and one in my professional life. In the personal life, I remember when I was 10 years old and my younger sister, Ambareen, was 5-year-old, we were playing, and during the play, sort of unfortunately she fell and she hurt herself. So there was a little blood came out of her chin. So in the evening when we were having dinner, Amber asked our father, our dad, Basit Sahib, she said to him, Suhail bhai ne mujhe phenka, he threw me and I fell and I hurt myself. So my dad said, let's stop the dinner. He said to me, Suhail beta, you have to apologize to your sister for hurting her. At that age, my ego, my pride, I was sort of not ready to apologize to my younger sister. So I was humming and hawing and hesitating. He saw that and he said, we are not proceeding with the dinner until you apologize. So I swallowed my saliva and swallowed my pride and I said to her, Amber, aap mujhe maaf kar dein. I asked for forgiveness. So I thought it was over, like I apologized. But it was not over. He looked at her and said, did you forgive him? And then she said, yes. That one word, yes, my younger sister, has stayed with me. That was the real expression of empowerment. He never treated her different than me. Dad always, he loved her so much, he added the name Vidambari, he added the Kausar from the heaven, there was a pond in heaven, you know. So I'm just ashamed that this role model of my dad never saw my dad disrespecting my mother, my sister, anybody. So that was a personal thing of empowering my sister, helping me to respect a girl, and then later on my sister became my friend. We were lifelong friends. It helped me respect other women in my life, you know, on a personal, professional level. So that was one example I wanted to share, because we need more brothers and fathers and uncles and grandfathers who genuinely respect women. It's not a lip service, it's actually in your real action. The second example is more professional. Coming to Canada, of all the people that I have a lot of respect for, I brought the book with me to show you. One guy, his name is Henry Morgan Taylor, the doctor, the gynecologist. This person, some of you don't know, have paved the way for years, for decades. In Canada, women were not allowed to have an abortion. It was illegal. I was in Newfoundland and I used to see outside the hospital these Catholic nuns making line up. We need adoption, not abortion. Abortion is murder. These grotesque pictures. So if the doctor who had to go and do the abortion had to pass through these 100 people of reminding him. This man, this doctor, this humanist, Henry Morgan Taylor, did clinics, all 20 clinics in Canada. He went to jail, he paid the price. So the men who support women, the men who are empowering women, there's a price to pay. And what is the price? That means I brought this book specially to read you a poem that Henry Morgan Taylor wrote when he was in jail because he was supporting women. And the poem is, he was in a very sad mood, like he was very depressed, he was very sad at that moment, sitting in the jail for his ideals, for his goals. So the point I'm making is that there is a price to pay. When we are supporting women, there is a price to pay. In Pakistan, in India, where all this gharat and all that thing, that man who supports his wife and his daughter, you know what he's called? He's called Zan Murid. He is made fun of. The macho men make fun of him. Call him sissy, call him all sort of thing because he's not standing up. He's supposed to order his wife. He's supposed to tell her what to do. And when he doesn't do that, then he's told that he's a weak man. He's a fragile man. He's not a good man. So Henry Morgan Taylor writes, does anybody care? You were desperate and nobody cared except me. I helped you. Now you are fine and healthy, and I am pacing my cell, boxed in my thick walls. Why don't you shout it to the judge who sentenced me, who called me an anarchist and a danger to society? Would he have helped you? Are you willing to stay in my cell instead of me? Are you willing to stay in my cell and provide me with solace and comfort? I thought I had the power to fight the state. I was sure I was invulnerable because I was helping people. You see? Who could possibly be against that? In my pride and self-satisfaction, I was blind to the forces of darkness. Believing that justice and humanity will triumph, I underestimated the power of evil and the determination of black-robed eunuchs to castrate me. In times of need, I was there to help you. Now that I'm in need of help, are you there? Does anybody care? Will you let your enemies and mine crush me, ruin me, deprive me of touching my lover for a second, of holding the hands of my children? I loved helping you, and I do not regret it. It gave me as much pleasure to help you as it gave you surcease from worry and stress. I felt good and powerful and unique in this crazy world where helping people needing help is a crime. I do not hold it against you that you want to live your private life. Forget my help and forget me. I did not think. There is a price to be paid for challenging the established order and morality. I will drink my bitter cup, but it would help me if I knew that you cared for me just a little bit. Finally, he triumphed. Laws of Canada changed, and he was at the end given the Order of Canada Award, and he is celebrated among doctors, among people. But unfortunately, what he got for women in Canada, we are South Asian, in Pakistan, it is still illegal. There are women in black alleys getting abortion because they are not legally allowed or permitted to have abortion, to have the reproductive rights of their own bodies. So we are still far behind. And I just wanted to share that there are men who went to the front line and paid the price and paid, for that freedom, that even in America, after Trump became popular, there are many states today, they have reversed the abortion law, and now women in many states are not allowed. So this is a joint thing, and I was in gynecology, I worked in the labor room, I worked with women. I just wanted to share that at a personal level and a professional level, we have to work together to create an environment where women can feel free to decide for their own lives.
Thank you. Not hard, but look at, we have somebody who is a frontline worker, who is a strong advocate. Then we have a CEO who runs non-profit, not only one, but he inspires many other and supports other. Then we have somebody from education, and then we have a person who is professional. It is what was the term which you use for your profession, right? But beyond that, he's a poet also. He read this poem for us. I promised to stay on time. I'm changing the format now. It will go one question, one panel, and then if we have time, I will ask the question. If they have to say something, we'll do it. But now it's kind of I will ask a question directly to you, and then I will move on to the next panelist. But at the end, if we have some time, because I also want to take questions, because you may have a lot of questions. I do have few questions. So my next question is actually to Baldev ji. And now, instead of how many minutes? Instead of 5 minutes, you will have 3 minutes to answer this question. I have to run this way because I want to be mindful of time. And the question is, what is the mindset of immigrant women? And this question is to you, Baldev.
I guess one of the ways that I can answer this. Hello.
So, that is hello. Testing. Yes, Baldev.
So one of the things that I wanted to kind of look at it. It's not about. Sorry. It's not about the mindset of women that we should be concerned about. I think what we should be concerned about is that there was a research study done by St. Michael's Hospital, along with many other organizations, to find out that to what extent are Sikh women in Brampton willing to have abortions. And the study said that the first generation women that come from India and settle in Brampton have a higher number of abortions if they find out that they have girls, which is fine because they come with that mindset. And then I asked this researcher a question. I said, how about the second generation, the girls who were born in Canada, raised, they get married? What is their percentage? You will be shocked that girls who were born and raised in Canada from the Sikh community had a frightening number of abortions when they had girls. So what is the mindset of women then? What are we talking about here? And that brings me to the first question. What are our cultural norms and traditions and the values that we bring in? Women are not separated from men. This is the whole package that comes within the family. So what values do we bring in? So if a second generation girl also is forced to have these abortions, who is forcing them? Is the religion forcing them? Is the culture forcing them? Is the family forcing them? Is an individuality forcing them? Who are forcing them? And why aren't we changing? I can understand if somebody comes from a village to Brampton, I can understand that they have been imbibed by that, where they got raised and they have these values. But what happens when a girl goes to school here, completes her degrees, and then gets married, and then has the same values? And that brings me to the first question, are we tradition oriented? Unless we can dismantle these traditions, which I call them stupid, Unless we can dismantle them and have a discussion, very serious discussion about dismantling, I don't think this whole idea that what mindset we have makes any difference. I have seen women having abortions who have PhDs. So what difference does it make what mindset it is? The question is, what are we surrounding ourselves with? And where are all these men that talk about of liberation and of all the things? And if the men are so adamant about their traditions, well then, guess what? It comes in a whole package. I can't pick and choose. I will like dowry, I will like preference of boys over girls, and I will like to pick my daughter's husband in a particular way. I will force her to accept. And then we will say, see how nice we are, that our culture is so good. And I think we need to really have some soul-searching discussions on this topic if we have to make a change.
Thank you both of you. Chitralekha ji, my next question to you actually is a little related, but we want to know what is the role of men in your success?
Thank you. Hello. Role of men or man in life, in my life, is very valuable. The first I start with my father. My mother gave me birth, and my father created me. He showed me the path. I know every father on this earth helps their children to grow, but particularly in my case, if I would tell you about my own story, that he created me. He crossed certain societal norms to give me certain kind of education in a way that I have been. I'm an engineering graduate. I have done my army education. I was a police officer. I was a university leader. So never ever he said that because you are a girl, I have to pay dowry to you and I have to get married to you in certain community or certain pattern. So I'm saving money for you. But no, he wanted me to be mentally balanced, financially independent, educated one, and be bold enough to face this world. Now, the second man in my life is my husband. My father created, and my husband, believe me, is a nice gentleman. He is maintaining that. Today, even if I'm sitting here, the great support in my business, which we two women entrepreneurs are running, Peel College of Professional Studies, but definitely my husband, both of us husband are behind us in helping to run the show. So we were and we are nowhere unless we have support from men. So I salute men also because their importance in our life is very, very essential. It's essential, and I always say that men and women, they both are equal. Men and women, they both are equal. And we both have to respect each other. So I salute men as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Khalid Suhail, if you want to quickly add anything to this, please go ahead. Very briefly. The role of men in general, and if you have any comment on the question which was asked.
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier, the role model, the example I gave was of the father and the daughter, my father and my sister. I gave another example of the marital, the role model. We have two role models of couples, of parents. When we see a father or the father treating the wife in an integrating way, my friend used to say to Pakistani, South Asian men, that if you want your son to be a prince, you have to treat his mother like a queen. If you treat her like a slave, your son will never become a prince. Let me give just a small example of my uncle who was a socialist, he was a poet, he was a philosopher. I went to visit Lahore from Peshawar, went to visit him because I was very fond of him. So we were sitting having a chat, and my auntie, Shahnaz auntie, my Chachi Jan, she brought the food. So while we had the food, I could feel that the food jala was, it was burnt. you know. So when Chachi Jan came to get the food, he praised her. He said, you know, aapne bahut acha khana banaya, it was wonderful, it was delicious. So being a teenager, I was a bit rebel. So when she left, I said to uncle, I said, uncle, you lied. He said, what do you mean? I said, you know it was burned. It was not properly cooked. Why did you praise her? You know. So he smiled and he said to me, you know, Suhail beta, let me tell you. And he became very serious. He said, your auntie went to the market to buy groceries. She came home and she cut all the vegetables. She cooked. She was looking after 4 children. She spent 4 hours to make this meal. And while she was looking after 4 children, if she ignored the meal and it got a little burnt, should we criticize her for that little negligence, or we should praise her for all the work? That was a real thing, and I think that was an eye-opener for me to see how we appreciate it.
Thank you. That's nice. And Asma, come to you, your point when you started that we need to educate our men, right? And I have to tell you one thing. I have 2 sisters. You know that I'm South Asian because I am South Asian. I was never raised as a typical boy. My elder sister will come, and to be very honest, when Asma ji, when you were mentioning about this, and now Dr. Khalid Suhail mentioned about it, right? It's important that as a men we do our best part so that we are not helping them, that they don't need help. We get empowered by assisting them where they want to reach, where they want to, or whatever they want to accomplish. So thank you once again. And now this is my last question to Dr. Khalid Suhail, but we will have time if you have any input from the panel side, but then we'll move to our audience for their questions, and Mike will come to you. So my last question for this panel discussion is to Dr. Khalid Suhail, and it's again a little bit related. What is the significance of the role model in men's attitude towards women? You did mention about it, but now you have a chance where you can elaborate a little bit more.
So I think the whole idea that I'm sharing with you is at a very personal level, that when we do not have those role models in our personal lives, psychologically, it is very hard to follow that. And I want to acknowledge there is a writer, a philosopher, Dr. Kamran Ahmed, a psychotherapist sitting in our audience. He has recently written a book about, called, I don't know the exact name, but it's like Saints and Sinners, that two sides of men in the role, the relationship with women. And I read that book, and I will recommend to all of you, if you have not read it, it's a wonderful analysis. You see, we do, as I said, there is a social, political, economic parts, and I fully agree with Baldevji that these structures, these cultural structures that are so rigid in our society, that until we challenge them, you see, even the women's, when I was studying women's liberation in Canada, in North America, I found out that the women's movement had 2 parts. There was Anthony Stanton. They said that until you change the Bible, you will not need to liberate women. Because in the Bible, God is the Father, and Christ is the Son, and this Holy Spirit and all that. So they changed. They wrote a women's Bible. Can you imagine? I bought a copy. They made God the parent rather than the father. They made Christ as a child rather than the son. So these role models, these archetypes that Jung called, that are so ingrained in ourselves. So that's one part. And then the second part is when we have a character, we have a person, we have a role model that we can look up to as a teacher, as a minister, as an elder. So I feel that having the role models, and if we don't have it, to create ourselves as role models, the loving, the nurturing, the kind. And I think that is nurturing, developing the female side. So part of my own struggle is to develop that female side, that the feminine side, that the nurturing side, while women are exploring their sort of, in a way, the gender balance of becoming more emotionally, financially independent and stronger. So we as men, I think, have to have role models who are gentler and kinder and softer and nurturing. And I think that's my sort of message, that we all need to develop that balance, the gender balance inside us psychologically and also socially. So thank you very much.
And Dr. Suhail, I want to ask you the name of the book you mentioned, and
yeah, maybe Kamran sir can
just name of the book so that we know what that book is.
It's a wonderful book. I've never seen a book about men's sort of psychology.
Oh, this is Dr. Kamran Ahmed. He's present here, so sir, please stand up. I just want, it is between saints and sinners. Wow, understanding man. So this is awesome. This is here. He did not give me as a gift. I'm going to return it. Thank you very much. You see, this is how we are all connected. You know, I'm holding this book. Dr. Suhail mentioned about it, and we are having this panel discussion. This is what I want to acknowledge, the beauty of Modern Women Council, that how these dots are connected. And this is what everyone who is in this room need to carry when they leave this room. And I know we have a very interesting discussion. I have now 15 minutes for Q&A, but I want to change the mood right now, right? So I'm going to ask these 3 questions to these panelists. You did not allow me, I did not tell you, they don't know the questions, but I'm changing the mode, not the mood, the mode of this, and then we will dive into Q&A. And Rintuji, are you going to help me with the mic or? Okay, wonderful. So, this is not related to the topic, but I just want to shift gear and ask you one person, one question, and you don't need to think, you just answer. Asma, I'm looking at you. What is the best gift you have ever received? Quickly.
My father, parents, basically both parents, because they gave me the opportunity, like Chitralekha said. मुझे मेरे अब्बा ने 95 में अकेले US पढ़ने भेज दिया था. मैं आज तक यहाँ हूँ कैसे भेज दिया.
Dr. Baldev ji, मैं punish ना करियो, मैं तो question पूछने लगा. If you were a superhero, what powers would you want to have?
I guess the ability to make a difference between does education help the community or dismantling systemic barriers would be the issue. My personal belief is that education cannot dismantle things, so we can do all the education and awareness for men. It's not going to amount to any good. So the ability that I would want is, what do we do to dismantle inequitable structures that are in society?
Wonderful, wonderful. So round of applause, जरूर होना चाहिए और inclusion that brings some kind of energy in the room. So we want to maintain that energy. चित्रलेखा जी, मैं क्वेश्चन देख रहा हूँ और आपको देख रहा हूँ, कोई मराठी में पूछूं, इंग्लिश में पूछूं, पंजाबी में पूछूं. And this is again a very off track. What's something you could eat for a week straight?
My Indian food. That's I'm
Wow.
simple food and Indian food.
And she mentioned it, and when I grabbed my box, I told my wife, मैं घरे जाके खाऊंगा कि चाय बना के. So that is how we love our food. Food is also our soul. So thank you. Dr. Suhail, बड़ा challenge है मेरे लिए. मैं की question पूछा, पर मैं कुछ question तैयार कीते हुए ने. तुसी सानू सारे नू अपना role model दसना है. But वो कोई female होए, वो कोई woman होए. ताड़ा role model.
बहुत सारे रोल मॉडल इस वक्त जो मेरे ज़हन में आ रहे हैं, क्योंकि साउथ इंडिया की बात कर रहे हैं, और अगरचे मैं ह्यूमनिस्ट हाँ, उसके बावजूद, in spite of my being a humanist and not a religious person, I think when I went to Calcutta and I read the stories of Mother Teresa and the people who, I think that the message I learned from her, that no human being should die alone on the street. She would bring them home and she would look after them and nurse them and care for them in the last days. So I think that compassion and that caring, she would say that I see Jesus Christ in that person's face. So I think having that compassion for the whole of humanity, developing not at the intellectual level, at a deeper level. So the person that came to my mind was Mother Teresa.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you so very much. Now the floor is open, but before the mic is handed over to you for asking a question, I want you to be mindful that please ask a direct question. Question cannot be a thought, it should be a question. Thought can derail, but I want to stay focused on our panel discussion and those 4 questions which were asked to our panelists. And our panelists, my request, if you feel that you want to add to those 4 questions, just let us know. But anybody in the room, after listening to Asma ji, Baldev ji, Chitralekha ji, and Dr. Khalid Suhail, if you have anything to ask, please, you raise your hand, and I see Ahsan ji. Ahsan ji is also another person whom I follow on Facebook more than I see. So I see Ahsan ji. Mike will come to you with Tuji's bringing. So yes.
Check. First of all, thank you, panelists. All four of you have received enough training from your childhood. And today you're sitting up there. It seems to me that even though you were given all the support, especially a police officer in India usually is not allowed as much as it should be. So my question to you is this. Since all of you have received all those wonderful training, support from the childhood, why are we still having this problem? That is, I'll keep it short.
Anybody from the, yes, I think Chitralekha ji, it is for you.
Yeah, it's for you. Yeah, I know. What I was saying is, training has been given to me since childhood, and that training has definitely changed my life. I would like to share something to this forum. I know it might be a little different than what we are talking about, but it's my own personal story. Training has been given to me in army or police or somewhere, which has been told to me that you are equal with men. There is no differentiation between men and women. You can do whatever you want. And I'm also a wife, I'm a daughter-in-law, I'm a sister, I'm a mother. But in that, having an equal status, believe me, I had worked with UNICEF project, which he has told about the child labors, but there was something different also, which I had worked on the project. It's a very sensitive project, is on anti-child, anti-girl prostitution, and save many girls from becoming, not entering into that field. That is a very, very dangerous project, and that made my life change. And to share something, having an equal status and the training, what you said in the childhood, that what parents have taught me, I want to give it back to community again. So 14 years back, 15 years back, I adopted a baby girl. She is now living with me, 16 years old, and I feel that whatever I'm saying, equality, which I'm showing it to you, I have not declared to anybody. This is the first forum where I'm declaring
Wonderful.
it. But, you know, I feel proud. At that time, when I was doing this process or going through the process, it was very hard. It happened in Canada. I got a baby from orphanage. Many family members were saying me that, why don't you take it from your relations? I said, no. Why? If the child is born in a wealthy family, it's a duty of a parents to give him or her a food. But I want to have a child who doesn't have parents, and we both want to become a mother and father of that child who doesn't have parents. So we took it from orphanage, and we are proud, and that is how it is said that we cross the societal barriers. Many times families have said, oh, your husband is the only son to his parents. Who will continue raise? I said, my daughter will continue raise. Who told you that daughter cannot do it? No, there is no difference between that. So this is what the training has imparted, or training has imbibed in me, that do something for community. And we as a girls and women, you know, we have to cross. It's not easy in South Asian culture, having now the state, the mindset has changed a little bit, but still people say that. Why didn't you take boy? Why did you adopt? Why are you adopting? Then you go for a male child. I said, no, why? No, he will continue a family race. Why girl cannot? No, it doesn't. So this thing, the training, what you said, when working with men, studying with boys, I always felt that there is no difference. And that is what I try to show. And we both become the parents of a small girl. Now she's 16 years.
Wonderful.
And we took it
We
from
need
our...
more of you. We need more of you. Guy, you have a question or? See, you're on the spot. So I have somebody here. our author here. So,
Dr. Kamran.
Dr. Kamran, yes.
Question from Baldevji. Dr. Khalid Sohail, thank you for the introduction. You are the role model for us. Question. What you said is so important, breaking traditions and perhaps breaking or going beyond religious traditions. You must have thought a great deal about it. Any pointers on how do we go about doing that? Strategically, realistic, strategic way of how do we make that happen?
So, a couple of pointers. I come from a family that's very religious oriented and very reactionary in nature. So I had to rebel to find equality. And a person that rebels in Punjabi culture has to pay a price. And the price that I paid was that my father excommunicated me. So you have to pay a price. When you start fighting and when you want to establish your own identity as a person of some moral values, some ethical values, you believe in equality and you want to implement those equality, it comes with a heavy price. So the first thing that if you are a man of some significance and you want to kind of say, okay, I want equality for women, you have to kind of question yourself, are you really in it? Because at every step of the way you will be questioned. And then you have to take this inner thing. So I had a daughter, I have 2 sons and a daughter, and my daughter when she was 16, she said, Dad, I'm going to start dating. So immediately the Punjabi male chauvinist came up and I said, oh no, you're not going to date. You are too young. This is not what we do. She said, yes, I am. I'm not asking you, I'm just telling you that. And I have to just reflect on it. And I said, yeah, isn't that what I told my dad? I said, I'm not telling you that, I'm just doing it. I think this is what is needed in our community, and we don't have men that actually are willing to pay the price to stand in solidarity with women. That's the price that we have to pay if we want to make a change. We ask women to change, we ask women to do this, women to do that, and we are just giving lectures about this. But when it personalizes, then you have to pay a price. And there is nothing that we can do except to pay a price to make this society a better place.
Thank you. Tough questions, tough, hard processes. This is amazing. And before I go to the next person, I don't see any hand, but definitely, oh yeah, I do see. But before that, I want to also mention, if you are tweeting or if you are on social media, our hashtag is MWC Empowering Women, and other hashtag is MWC Community. So please tag, tweet, retweet if you are on social media. And next, sorry. So first one is MWC Empowering Women altogether. Other hashtag is MWC Community. So MWC then community, but altogether. Thank you so much. So please say your name and ask your question.
Hello everyone, myself Manjinder, and it was a pleasure listening all the amazing panelists. Baldevji, it was always a pleasure listening to you, so my special question is also to you. You have given an amazing example, so I'm just picking up a question from there, where you mentioned that even in the second generation, the kids born here, they still have an abortion rate really high. Like, from your own personal experience and the research which you were talking about, what is the one thing or two things which you identify as a major factor responsible for, we're not able to abolish this generation gap or cultural lag which is still prevalent? Thank you.
Yeah. So based on the several discussions and several kind of experiences that I had over my professional career in Canada, I'm here in Canada over now for 55 years, so I was 18 when I came to Canada. One of the things that I do is we don't know how to raise boys. Period. In the Indian subcontinent, we do not know how to raise boys. We allow in them to develop a greater sense of entitlement. And this entitlement actually is very damaging to their self-identity. So that's the one thing that we have to change. The second thing is that when our young girls are growing up in the home, even if the parents are sensitive, even if the parents are very cultured, very civilized, understand and make sure they choose the proper words to not diminish her self-esteem, we are surrounded by our relatives. Imagine what it does to a 12-year-old if an auntie says to her, "Bete roti na zyada khai moti ho jayegi." "Bara to pe nahi jayega, tera rang kala ho jayega." Imagine what it does to her self-esteem. We not consider that. So a 26-year-old young girl, an auntie comes, and this happened to my daughter. She says, "Rakhi bete, when are you getting married?" And my daughter looked straight in her eyes. She said, "Auntie, I will never get married because there isn't a boy on this planet." Now she was shocked. She was just shocked. And the auntie looks at me and says, "Tusi apni kudi ko kuari rakhoge?" Main kaha, "Dech mera koi role nahi. She has the right to me." Now tell me, if this is how we are raising our girls and boys, what are we doing to our boys who are growing up with this heightened self-entitlement, and we are diminishing the self-esteem of our daughters by making these stupid remarks that are just so frightening and demeaning, you can't even imagine. Just have some discussion with these young girls and they will tell you how demeaning, depressing and disrespectful these comments these aunties make to them.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hear something. Is that a question, or you were just supporting Baldev ji? The last. Do you have a question? Okay.
We all know aunties like.
Yes. Wonderful. And I have a hand here. Then after that, we'll take only one more question. Then I have the last question, which I'll ask the panelists. So go ahead, please. Your name and your question.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Josephine. I come from York University, and I really thank Uzma to having me here. I've been referred by my supervisor. And my question is, in this platform, as a researcher researching fathering and South Asian Indian men's voices and the supports available, as an immigrant as well, I would like to know what are the supports available for men to raise their voices, to speak up their own opinion, so the need starts there. So I would like to know what are the supports available at this point, as I know already that this is the platform where we are rising up to create platforms like this for men to express their voices as well, to integrate into women's voices. But at this point, what are the supports available? That is my question to the panel as well as to the group who are available here and to Malton Women's Council. Thank you.
Interesting question. So please go ahead, sir. Anybody from the panelists?
I think Baldev uncle can tell better, but again, what I know is from my limited knowledge, Family Education Center, PCHS, parenting sessions बहुत हैं बच्चों के लिए जिसमें चीजें सिखाते हैं, स्किल सिखाते हैं, वो आप लोग देख सकते हैं. तो और again, like I said, don't ask me too many questions. He's my mentor, so he knows more, so he will teach.
I think I would rather have this question looked at it from a different angle altogether. So the question is, what role does a father play in raising a child? In the Indian subcontinent, predominantly the male narrative is that it's a woman's domain to raise a child. Doesn't matter what education does a man have, predominantly his dominant belief is, oh, mother will take care of it, right? It's moms, right? So even if a child, if a dad feels like playing with a child, the dad picks up, giggles, plays, feeds, changes the diaper. But when the child starts crying, immediately the dad picks up the child and gives it to the mom. Right? So we are not changing the responsibilities of father in raising a child because we don't believe that it's our domain. Our domain is that yes, now this is a new baby that has come into the home, but predominantly 90% of the job remains to the mom, and we are here as a babysitter. Once in a while we will change the diaper, once in a while we will give the child a bath, once in a while we will feed the child, once in a while we will, if my mood happens to be good, I will play with the child. So the issue about supports, even if we have supports, I have seen fathers very reluctant to hold a baby because their mind is not there that it is their responsibility 50% to raise their child. Even though science says that there is a difference between a voice of singing by the father and the voice and the singing by the mother. There is a difference. So the child's development is different when both parents start nurturing the child. And yet our fathers refuse to accept this whole scientific notion. But we just, in the Indian subcontinent, we hate science to begin with. But then, so what supports are there? Even if you put supports, the dominant narrative is it's a woman's thing. And our mothers, unfortunately, make it even worse. Right? So the moment the wife hands you the child, the mother-in-law will come and pick it up and say, okay, I'm going to do it, and you just watch the TV or do whatever else you have to do. So on many different fronts, we have to create this support is around what is the role of fathers in raising a child. Right? And I think that has not changed back home. It is not changing here in Canada as well within our community. So we have to kind of look at how do we change this narrative. So rather than creating another support group, another parenting session, another fathering session, or what role can the fathers play, I think we need to have a very strong discussion. What if this continues to be allowed, and I can talk with some authority on the Sikh community in Canada, we have 157 between 16 to 20-year-olds killed in a gang violence. These are Sikh boys in Vancouver. And all these 157 boys come from upper middle class background. They don't come from poor. And yet they gravitate towards toxic masculinity. Fighting is the norm, drinking, doing drugs, hanging out, all these things they gravitate. It means we do not have a model of raising boys in a healthier manner. And if you are, because you are a researcher, I will strongly recommend you to go into the cafeterias of your university. Talk to any young girls who are sitting in groups of 5 and 6, just say to them, well, what do you think about our boys, Indian boys? And gradually, you say, what do you think about Punjabi boys? And you will be horrified what their experiences are with Punjabi boys. So we have a higher tendency to have toxic masculinity in our boys. And where does this come from? Sikh religion is not violent. How come we are producing boys that are killing each other? How come? And yet when you say, what support do we have for fathers? We have none. We have none. Except that it is glorified all along the way that we are warriors. Who are we fighting? There are no British that we can fight, so we fight amongst ourselves. So where does this neo-colonial narrative come from? That we are warriors. Can't we be educational warriors? Can't we be gentle warriors? Can't we be passionate warriors towards standing in solidarity with women? Can that be a warrior?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Baldevji. I see. Please quickly अपने thought दीजिए.
Just want to make one comment that I think sitting here you can see 2 men and 2 women being part of the panel. in many communities that I went, many organizations, this segregation. There are many times I went with my friend, and my female friend was said, you go to the women's section, you go to the men's section. So I feel growing up even in Pakistan, not being able to socialize with girls, making friends, and friends is also, we had a big discussion, can Pakistani or Indian male and female can become friends. It's always suspected that there is some kind of an affair or some kind of an underlying sexual connotation. So I feel when we are not allowed to socialize, so then when men get married and women get married, you really are marrying a stranger. You are not comfortable with them as human beings who are your friends. I just wanted to make a comment that this segregation, I feel, is very, very sort of a question mark what it does to the male and female cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sahil. Asheen, I can't say no to you. You are the last one to ask that question, and to whom you are asking, I will request them to be quick. Go ahead.
So this would be for all the panelists and even the audience here. We listened about equality, equity, we talked about toxic masculinity. I follow a lot on social media. So there's one curiosity question. Do you have anything to add about toxic feminism? So we see a lot of women.
I so much wanted to say so much about it. So International Women's Day was celebrated on 8th of March. I won't name the place, space and all. I was the only male present, and I was only clicking the picture. Nobody even gave me a flower. And I was like, oh, you are celebrating, I'm a photographer, and I was thinking, how you are celebrating International Women's Day? So that was a question to me, and on social media what I saw was, men were not included in the celebration. And then this is where community actually creates those barriers, those gaps and all. But look at Modern Women Council. I am here, woman is here, and again I'm going to say, my wife and daughter only comes to one event entire year, or anywhere I had to go, Malta Women Council, she does not say no. So that is what I want to say, but I definitely want to hear, as you said, anybody want to, from audience or panelists, but be quick, we are on time, we need to be on time. I'll take one comment here, and the last one is there, and then we'll wrap up.
We need whole panel discussion regarding that as well.
Oh yes!
So Baldevji, you mentioned when the dad is holding the baby and it's crying, and you give it to the mother and say, take care of it. Some babies are politicians. When the dad is holding, they'll keep crying. As soon as you hand it off to the mom, they stop crying. Do you have any answer for that?
वो उसका आंसर ये है the touch.
Yes, exactly.
Gentle touch of
emotion. Yeah.
हमारे घर में खरगोश पला हुआ था. We had a bunny. So it's me, my daughter, and my husband. तो वो खरगोश जो देख के बहुत खुश होता था because I used to feed her, and she would be happy when she would see my daughter as well. मेरे husband ने उसको बोला हटो यहाँ से. वो उसके बाद उनके करीब नहीं आया. The moment my husband would step in the balcony, the bunny would run away. तो जो टच है, जो एक ऑरा होता है आपका, वो बड़ा काउंट करता है. एक चीज जो अभी अंकल बात करते हैं और बाकी लोग मुझे ऐड करनी है कि हमने एंगर को मर्दों के साथ अटैच कर दिया, उसको ग्लोरीफाई करते हैं. आई मेक वन ऑफ माई ओन पंजाबी मूवीज, पाकिस्तानी पंजाबी मूवीज पुरानी के हीरो को गुस्सा आ रहा है, उसकी कोई वजह नहीं होती, हीरो पागल हो जा रहा है गुस्से में, सॉरी, और वो गंडासा लिए गले में वो डालो, हीरोइन उसको डांस कर करके मनाई जाए और उसको ग्लैमराइज कर रहे हैं. बड़ा बड़ा हसीन फिल्म है वो. कोई पूछे कि उस हीरो को गुस्सा क्यों आ रहा है, क्योंकि वो आदमी है. मेरे हिसाब से उसकी मेंटल हेल्थ की असेसमेंट होनी चाहिए. मतलब ये जो हम मीडिया में दिखा रहे हैं, ये सब बेवकूफ़ी है. एक मैं स्टोरी क्विकली शेयर करूँ. आई यूज्ड टू स्टडी इन न्यूयॉर्क. एक फैमिली से वास्ता पड़ा. उनके हस्बैंड फरवरी बड़े, मैंने उनको कुछ दिन देखा. उनके हस्बैंड को कभी ट्रिप पे जा रहे तो गाने भी ऐसे पसंद थे जो पुराने मीना कुमारी के गाने होते हैं, ना जाओ सैया चुरा के बनिया पसंद तुम्हारी. तो मैं उनकी मिसेज से कहती थी कि आपके हस्बैंड को गाने भी ऐसे पसंद है जिसमें औरतें तड़प रही हो, रो रही हो, आदमियों को मना रही हो. कोई सोचो कि खुदा के रास्ते तुम लोग क्यों हमसे नाराज हो, क्यों इतना गुस्सा है तुम लोगों के अंदर. तो ये ऐसे कम्युनिटी एज सोसाइटी हमारा कसूर है कि रोती बिलकती औरत बहुत अच्छी है और एक गुस्से वाला आदमी बहुत अच्छा है. तो हम लोगों ने सभी मैसअप कर दिया. आई थिंक इट्स टाइम, अबाउट टाइम कि हम इसको सोचें कि जो हमने बिगाड़ा उसको मिलकर ठीक कैसे करें.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Chitralekha ji, your comment, and then I'll go to the last question at this forum, which is Rintu ji is standing next to her. So please go ahead.
अब मैं आपसे हिंदी में उर्दू में बात करना चाहूँगी। देखिए, ये बात जो आपने कही थी कि बच्चों को पालने में, उनको बड़ा करने में खाली माँ का ही हाथ होता है, ऐसा नहीं, पिता भी उतना ही इम्पोर्टेंट होता है। और मैं ये भी कहना चाहूँगी कि जब मेरे यहाँ छोटी बच्ची आई आज से 14 साल पहले, तो ये हम परिवार वालों को और हम औरत को, क्योंकि वो बच्ची जो मेरे पास आई थी वो खुदा की, अल्लाह की, भगवान की, ईश्वर की देन थी। मुझे पता नहीं था कि किस धर्म से है, किस जाति से है, किस रेस से है। बस मुझे ये है कि वो एक इंसान का बच्चा है, मेरे जैसा ही उसमें लाल खून है, वो मेरी बिटिया है। पर अब उसको बड़ा करने में खाली मेरा अकेले का हाथ नहीं है, उसके साथ उसके पिता का हाथ भी बहुत बड़ा है। नॉट इन टर्म्स ऑफ फाइनेंशियली, बट उसे पिता का प्यार भी उतना ही मिलना चाहिए। तो वो बड़ा करने में हमें, हम औरतों को या विमेन को ये देखना है कि बहुत सारी चीज़ें हमने साइकोलॉजिकल, मैंने अपने हस्बैंड से कही कि आप ये करो ताकि आप उसके नज़दीक जाओगे और उसके, और आज अगर आप ये देखोगे सिचुएशन में, तो मेरी बिटिया और मेरा पति वो ज़्यादा करीब है उसके, क्योंकि उसे उन दोनों को करीब लाने में, चाहे खिलाना है, खाना पिलाना है, अब तो बड़ी हो गई, उसके बाकी सारी जो चीज़ें जो हमारे मुल्कों में हम पिता से बात नहीं करते थे, आज मेरी बिटिया उनसे बात करती है। तो ये जो चीज़ हम नज़दीक लाते हैं वो हमारा काम है, हमारा फ़र्ज़ है कि ये इसमें दूरियां ना करें। तो ये दिस इज टू बी डन एंड विच आई विल टेल एवरी ह्यूमन बीइंग कि दोनों का हाथ है, बच्चे को बड़ा करने में दोनों का हाथ है।
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. बिल्कुल जी। Last question and we need to be quick. चाय नहीं तो ठंडी हो जाए। फिर मेरे मुझे मत किया। Please go ahead.
मैं पंजाब से बात कर रही हूँ। हमेशा एक बात कही जाती है कि मेल ਜਿਹੜੇ पर्सन ने वो हमेशा औरत को अब्यूज कर रहे हैं, बट बीइंग अ सिंगल मदर, मैं अपने 2 बेटियां ਨੂੰ रेज कर रही हूँ, मेरी बेटी भी हैगी है, मैं किते ना किते महसूस किया कि ਇਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਿਬਲ औरत है। ਜਦੋਂ ਬੱਚਾ ਛੋਟਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅਕਸਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਮੁੰਡੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਤੂੰ ਸ਼ੇਰ ਬਣ, ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵੀ ਦਿਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵੀ ਸੱਟ ਲੱਗਦੀ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਇਮੋਸ਼ਨਸ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਨਾ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਟਰੋਂਗ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਕੁੜੀ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਥੋੜੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਵੀ ਪੇਨ ਹੋਵੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਗੋਦੀ 'ਚ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ, ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਰਾਈਟ। ਮੇਰੇ ਕਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਸਿਰਫ ਇਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੇਲ ਔਰ ਫੀਮੇਲ ਦੇ ਆਰ ਬੋਥ ਔਨ ਸੇਮ ਲੈਵਲ, ਦੋਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੇਅਰ, ਦੋਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੁਹੱਬਤ। ਮਿਸਟਰ ਮਿੰਟਾ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਸੀ, ਕੌਣ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਿਬਲ ਹੈ, ਮੇਲ ਲਈ ਫੀਮੇਲ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਿਬਲ ਹੈ ਔਰ फीमेल ਦੇ ਲਈ ਮੇਲ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਿਬਲ ਹੈ। That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And with that, I would like to thank each one of you who are sitting on the panel. It was a very enlightening. It was also very informative. Your energy is contagious, and I hope in next 2, 3, 4, 5 years we are not talking about this. We are talking progressively that what we have achieved. So that message from today, the discussion we had is that we are all responsible for the actions they have spoken about, the thought process you have shared with us. So when you leave the room, by the way, not now, we have many events and a special one is happening, but stay with that thought and see how you are helping yourself and the community and the family and everyone in your life to empower each other. So I want to thank Asma ji, Dr. Sahel, Baldev ji and Chitralekha ji. Thank you so very much.